News Talk on demand. Interruption-free audio where you want it, when you want it.
All I want to do is talk to you.
There ought to be an opportunity to present the other side.
All I want to do is talk to you.
And there is. I'm John Gormley. Welcome. It's Open Line Tuesday style here and now. Hey, and we're an hour ahead of City Hall Hotline. Both of the mayors come in studio as they do first Tuesday of every month, and we talk about the business of your city hall. But in the meantime, now, where do I begin on Open Line today? First of all, here's the drill. And I strongly recommend you think this. Well, I can't tell you what you think, but I strongly recommend you do this. Anything on your mind today, and I mean absolutely anything, lines are open now at 1-877-332-8255. Anything going on, whether it's big international news, whether it's local, closer to home stuff, anything on your mind, your calls drive this segment of the program. Now, I'll give you a quick heads up. I'm going to propose two things right off the top. You're going to meet a very interesting guy who cannot find anybody who supports the city in his fight against City Hall. And this is a story out of Saskatoon. You're going to meet Dave Howe in a minute. He restores and collects antique tractors, and he puts them on his front lawn, or at least a couple of them. A neighbor has been complaining to City Hall, and you know the old adage about fighting City Hall? Well, Dave is finding it to be an interesting scrap. We go there first. And then a grade 2 school teacher who declares Obama Day and has her little grade 2s doing it, and she's going to do it every year. Oh, my impressionable teachers they are. Let's go to Saskatoon now. Dave Howe here. Dave, welcome aboard.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Gormley.
How are you, sir?
Well, I'm quite well this morning, thank you.
Good. Now, Dave, you restore, and you have done now for about 10 years, those old antique tractors from mainly from the 1940s, 1930s?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we started that about 10 years ago, and we started to slow our business down and went into semi-retirement, and this is what we were doing for a hobby.
And you live in the Sutherland neighborhood of Saskatoon, Egbert Avenue. Actually, I used to, my very first house was about a block away from where you are.
Pardon me?
My very first house was about a block away from where you are.
Is that a fact?
Yep, that was all those years ago.
Well, this is a nice neighborhood.
It's
here,
a beautiful
actually.
neighborhood.
We've been in here for several years, And
yeah, beautiful neighborhood.
Yeah, it is. It's a real good neighborhood. Working class people, and just the middle of the road type of thing.
Absolutely. So now you've got 2 tractors on your front lawn.
We have 2 tractors on our front lawn. As we speak, we also have 2 in the garage.
But the city says, under, of course, the relevant bylaw, and these are the bylaws that they have everywhere, no person shall store or repair vehicles not used for personal transportation, recreation, gardening, and yard maintenance. So the fact that they're sitting on your lawn makes them a vehicle, and the city bylaw says they're being stored as a result in violation of the law.
Yeah, that's according to their bylaw, right. But we're not saying that these are... The bylaw also says that personal vehicles used for personal use and entertainment, recreation can be stored and repaired on your property. And of course, we've stuck very strongly with these are not farm equipment, like they said. This is recreational equipment. We use them strictly for our enjoyment and other people's enjoyment. We take them to shows and show them, and we also race with them. That's funny. It's a turtle race. It's a slow race, not a fast race. So they are actually used for racing. And in the summertime, there are no tractors on the lawn. They are stored in the garage.
But in the winter, they're out in the lawn.
We put 2 on the lawn, and we decorate them up with, the chasing lights around the tires and this type of thing, along with quite a few other decorations on the lawn for Christmas time.
Yeah.
And and I'm not tooting my horn when I say this. It's quite an attraction. There's a lot of people stop and have a look at this lovely Christmas decoration. And, of course, as you mentioned at the beginning, there is one neighbor who doesn't like me, and she's just on me continually, eh?
Well, usually what happens on these bylaw enforcement cases, and they'll tell you that at City Hall, they don't go looking for trouble. It's only when someone complains enough, they then look at the bylaw and say, gee, we have to make a call here. So obviously this neighbor has taken it upon herself to complain. What do the other neighbors say?
I would say pretty well 100%. They're all very, very pleased, and they're excited about having these tractors around here. And we also have several young children, like families here, And they just enjoy coming over and look at the tractors, and I take them for rides in the back alley, and it's just really, really, really an enjoyable thing for everybody. And I'm very safe in saying that practically 100% is in favor of me doing this.
Except the one neighbor.
Yes.
So now, does she say that this is an eyesore? Like 2 tractors out on the front lawn sort of makes it look like a storage yard? Would that be her argument?
I don't actually know what she would do. You see, it's been going on for 5 years. And she's constantly phoned the police to see if they could get me for doing something illegal, like driving an unlicensed vehicle on the street. Well, tractors can't be licensed, and they don't go over 15 miles an hour, so they don't require a license. So basically, there's nothing illegal about that. She's just bumped on every little thing that she could, even to complaining that I flung tractor parts in the garbage barrel. And, of course, the garbage people come out and check on that, and nothing wrong with that either, eh? And she's constantly complained that we're spray painting, which is absolutely not the truth. We do not spray paint when we're restoring these tractors. We paint the undercarriage with a brush. Me and my wife do that, and we also send out the hoods and the fenders and all that to a shop because they do a better job of painting and they do the spray painting out there.
Right.
So, of course, the fire department has been here numerous times again, and they find nothing wrong.
Jesus, this must be quite a feeling to know somebody really wants you to get out of the tractor thing.
Yes, yeah. I guess that's right.
Okay, have you tried making peace with this neighbor?
Yeah, but that doesn't seem to do any good either.
Oh, really?
No.
Boy. Have you heard anybody else jumped in and said you shouldn't have the tractors on the lawn?
No, and since that article came out in the Star Phoenix, we've just had numerous phone calls, and not one phone call has been against us. Not one person phoned up and said, well, you shouldn't do that anyways, They're all in favor, and we've had 2 towns offer to help us move out of here into their town and move the tractors as well, eh? And we've also had at least 3 rural people saying, look, if you need a place to store the tractors, you just let us know. And I've got room out here. And one fellow said, there's a place for sale right beside me, and you can come on out here, eh? And we don't want to do that.
Well, Dave, good luck with this. And now, is this thing going to end up in court, or has it been to court already?
Well, it's been to court once. And, of course, the judge, the JP, found us guilty. And our lawyer said, there was very little chance that we'd be found guilty. So we're appealing, and we're taking it to the Court of Queen's Bench. Good.
I was going to say, get yourself in front of a Queen's Bench lawyer and a Queen's Bench judge, and I'd be interested to see how the interpretation of this thing, spills out. Because this is a pretty generally worded bylaw.
It is, and that's what our lawyer said, and it's all left in the hands of the judge, and if he sees, we're not making a business of this. We're not running these tractors. There's no noise to speak of. I keep them idle down when they're around here. I mean, it's not like a great big loud truck or a motorcycle makes more noise than these do, eh?
Well, Dave Howe, it was great meeting you today, and take care, my friend, and we'll talk soon.
I'll keep you posted.
Please do. Dave Howe, Saskatoon guy, retired auctioneer, farmer. He and his wife take these tractors, and they're the old antique tractors. And in the summer, they don't keep them on the lawn. They do it in the winter, and they actually put Christmas decorations on and the like. Little kids like to climb up on them. They take the kids, down the alley on these little tractor rides. They're in fairs and parades, and they even tractor race, which, of course, when you see these old antique tractors, it's a bit of a turtle race. It's which one of the slowest tractors can get there first. But one neighbor says no, and the city has ticketed the house because, of course, under the bylaw, you cannot store or repair a vehicle that is not used for personal transportation, recreation, gardening, or yard maintenance. In other words, it basically prevents you from running a business on your lawn. Interesting story. My friends, it's open line at 1-877-332-8255. And if you are that neighbor, that preoccupied, self-possessed neighbor who can only see those tractors, call me now. 1-877-332-8255. More stories ahead on Open Line this day. I'm Gormley on News Talk Radio.
All I want to do is talk to you.
There ought to be an opportunity to present the other side.
All I want to do is talk to you.
I'm I'm John Gormley. It's Open Line here and now. 1-877-332-8255. Hey, Open Line means anything you want to talk about here and now. We're just chatting with Dave Howe, retired guy who's in his 70s. And he was an auctioneer, farmer, retired to Saskatoon. And there was a story in the paper a couple of weeks ago about him. And he said that ever since that story appeared in the paper, it was a weekend paper, he said all sorts of calls from people, very supportive. But he lives in the city. And it's an older neighborhood, sort of not older heritage, but 1950s type neighborhood. Quiet, sleepy street. He has two antique tractors that he and his wife restore. And they drive them in parades and fairs and stuff in the summer. But in the winter, and they have other tractors stored in their garage, and they actually have some off-site storage because this is a bit of a hobby. But they take two tractors and put them on the front lawn. And they decorate them with lights and things at Christmas. And they have one neighbor who year in and year out complains. She calls sanitation and waste because she thinks they're discarding things they can't. She calls the fire department. She calls officialdom every chance she gets. Well, they've actually received a ticket, turns out. And that ticket says that, and I just want to make sure we get the bylaw language right here, that no person shall store or repair vehicles that are not used for personal transportation, recreation, gardening, and yard maintenance. So he argues that this is for entertainment. This is a hobby. It's for recreation. But when you, on a bylaw infraction, you first appear before a JP, Justice of the Peace. I'm hoping that when he gets in front of, I have an inside and outside monologue sometimes. The inside monologue said a real judge. Sorry, I didn't mean that. I guess I shouldn't have told you. I was thinking that. Okay, when he gets in front of a Queen's Bench justice, we'll see how the interpretation of that language, of that bylaw, plays out in front of the court. But for now, the House have this ticket because it's not that it's unsightly. They are simply vehicles that don't fall into those categories. Catherine in Saskatoon, what do you think of an elderly couple restoring these things as a hobby and putting two of them out in the front lawn in the winter?
Well, I think it's just fine, but I think this whole thing goes to the intolerance of many people who live in this city, whether it be to those who smoke, have fire pits, the police airplanes, pets, etc. People should look beyond their own their own self and try and accommodate others. You know,
you've just nailed, how many shows have we done on those different topics you've nailed, right?
Oh, many.
Because it's all about my little 50 by 100 foot lot, and anything I hear, I smell, I see is somehow a great harm. It's an egregiously bad thing. I have to call officialdom and make them stop.
Well, absolutely.
And it's crazy.
And people have got to be more tolerant of others. We're not all the same.